Cooperation between China and Africa has improved infrastructure, increased trade, and improved livelihoods on the continent. That's according to Ovigwe Eguegu, a policy analyst at Development Reimagined. Let's take a listen.
In the last 10 years, we've seen the relationship between China and Africa mature. And that is what I mean by that is we've seen both the economic dimension, the political dimension, the people-to-people dimension, and also cooperation in development have all improved, including peace and security. So I think the last 10 years has been one of progress in the relationship, both between China and African countries, and also between China and the African Union. So if you look at it from that perspective, particularly the economic perspective, the trade has really been, on the increase. I mean, with the most recent figures from 2022, says China-Africa trade, two-way trade now stands at 282 billion, which makes China Africa's biggest trading partner by a large margin, and that is something that is testament to the progress and the improvement in China-Africa relations. I also like to add one more thing that in the last 10 years also, we've seen China-Africa relations overcome or surmount real challenges, for instance, like COVID pandemic, where African countries needed a lot of support from its partners in terms of vaccines, in terms of health equipment and supplies, and we saw a huge support coming from China. So I think there's been a lot of positives, specific positive you can pick out in the last 10 years, but overall on the structural level, the relationship has really progressed, and it's all evident in cooperations in the FOCAC document and all of the milestones and vision going forward that was announced in the last FOCAC in Dakar. If we look at the last 10 years, which has really set set a very good dynamic, there is a lot of interest in building on what has already been achieved. Hopefully, we see a continuation of a relationship that is full of sincerity, a relationship that opposes the practice of one side lecturing the other, and bullying that we also see in some of those issues we see in Africa's relationship with other countries, but we don't see in the China-Africa relations. And we expect and we hope that these positive attitude towards China-Africa relations of mutual respect for sovereignty, and partners meeting on equal footing, I think it's one of those main factors that hopefully continues to be a feature in China-Africa relations. Also, important to mention is the relationship has delivered a lot in the last 10 years. Hopefully, the continuation of the relationship will continue to deliver real and tangible benefits. I'll give you some examples. For instance, in the last 20 years, for instance, since FOCAC corporations really started, we've seen 13,000 kilometers of railway and expressway built across the continent, 80 major power projects. My country, Nigeria, for instance, just last year, launched the first electric light rail system in West Africa, which was funded and co-funded and built, by China. So there's a lot has been achieved, and hopefully we continue to see both in the area of economics, in the area of development, of infrastructure improvement, in trade and people-to-people exchange as well.